Are we doing it? We almost, is everybody here?
We're missing one member, but we're going to be starting. I show 1 minute till we start.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm showing 8:30.
Okay. I'm calling to order the Business Improvement District Advisory Board, Thursday, March 3rd, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. Today's public meeting will be conducted utilizing Zoom video communication. This allows the city to conduct essential business and comply with the Public Health Administration recommendations to protect the public and city employees to practice social distancing and limit exposure by not allowing in-person public meeting. To ensure that the public will be able to participate in our meeting, public comments can be submitted as live comments during the Zoom meeting and via email at publiccomment@cityofglendora.org. Madam Clerk, will you please conduct a roll call?
Thank you, Chair. At this time, I would like to conduct an oral roll call and request that each board member respond with present when their name is called. Board Member Jarvis?
Present.
Board Member Klinger, I'm showing as not here. Board Member Nolan?
Present.
Vice Chair Hurth?
Present.
Chair Snyder?
Present.
And we are showing four board members are present. Thank you.
Thank you. Right now, I would like to ask John to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
All right, please join me with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the United States of America
America. And
and
to
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
one nation, indivisible,
under God,
with
one
liberty,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chair, we are
thank
showing Board Member Klinger as present now.
Oh, thank you so very much. Welcome, welcome, Matt. At this point, I would like to ask if does anyone wish to reorder or add to the agenda? Okay, it's really sad for me to announce, well, everybody knows the passing of Gary Andrews. So I would like to honor his memory, and we all love him, and our hearts are with Connie and his family. So we will always be grateful for his service, for everything that he has done for this community, and he will always be a huge part of Glendora. He will always be here. At this moment, I would like to ask if we have any public comments. Have any public comments been received?
I have received no emails, and anyone wishing on Zoom wanting to speak, if they could raise their hand. I'm showing none.
Thank you.
Oh,
So at
sorry.
this moment,
Chair,
yeah.
sorry, we do have one. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Frank
it's okay.
Arturo would like to speak.
Mhm.
So Frank, we're gonna ask to use Zoom. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning. I just wanted to recognize Gary Andrews as well. Gary always took a lot of pride in the community and himself, and he was somebody that I respected very much, Glendora. From the time I was a kid skateboarding and having him chase me off the sidewalks till, a grown man trying to hold his standards for pride in the community. I would always say if Gary liked something I did, then, that was one of the ultimate compliments. So I had a lot of respect for Gary. He and I served on many boards together, the Chamber Board of Directors many years ago. And he was one of Glendora's elder statesmen. I think the community is better for Gary being a part of it and participating. And it'll be a little bit less for having lost him. So I just want to thank Gary posthumously for all that he did for Glendora. Somebody I had a great deal of respect for in the community. I know that Oakdale posted, they posted that his memorial service apparently is March 30th. If anybody wants further details on that, they can go to Oakdale's website, I believe, or search it. So farewell, Gary. Thank you for everything you did for Glendora. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else in Zoom that would like to speak? If you could raise your hand. And we have none.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to close the public comment period. And at this time, I'm going to invite each individual board member to provide a statement or report. Board Member Jarvis,
Nothing to report.
Board Member Klinger,
Nothing to report.
thank you, Matt. Board Member Nolan,
Nothing to report.
Vice Chairs Hurst,
Nothing, just echoing the sentiment for Gary. And now I'll try to get it together for the rest of the meeting. But other than that, no, nothing to report.
thank you, Jana. And nothing to report. This time, I invite the Director, Staff Liaison to provide statements.
I have nothing to report today. Valerie, did you have anything you wanted to report on?
No, there's nothing to report on.
Thank you. We're moving to special items. I'm calling the Chamber of Commerce President and CEO, Joe Sina, to report.
Thank you very much, everybody, and good morning. Thanks for allowing me to speak today. My name is Joe Sina. I'm the President and CEO of the Glendora Chamber of Commerce. I'll first go over some of our upcoming events, as there are a number of them since we are in full swing. We have been the last couple of months, but we're getting a lot more going on. This afternoon, well, at noon, our monthly Legislative Action Economic Development Committee meeting is on Zoom still. It will be live here probably next month or the following. But we have a number of items that we're talking about, in different bills in process. The current SB 1383, the mandatory organics that everybody has to start doing the first of the year, upcoming ballot measures, just a number of things we're talking about. So this committee is an opportunity for members to come together and learn, voice your opinions, and come together to send letters of support or opposition to our state and federal representatives. So if you want information on that, it's on our chamber calendar. Then tomorrow at 8 a.m. we have our coffee business buzz at our BR Real Estate. That's at 8 a.m. Then next Thursday we have our luncheonette, our lunch mixer at Spaghetti Eddie's at 11:30. Then on the 15th, Telworks is doing a webinar, an insider's guide to internet services. It's on March 15th at 10 a.m. March 22nd, another bid member, Doris at Edward Jones, is going to talk about CalSavers and other business retirement plans. That'll be the 22nd at 3. And then March 24th at the Glendora Country Club, Mayor Karen Davis will be presenting the State of the City. It is March 24th, 11:30 a.m. Tickets are available on the Chamber website or glendorastateofthecity.com. Sponsorship is also available. Then looking ahead to May 16th through the 22nd will be our Cuisines of the Foothills Restaurant Week. More details to follow. So hopefully Glendora restaurants participate and we push a lot of clients to you. So There's a lot more coming up, but I'll just stick to that. As mentioned with our ledge meeting this afternoon, we are working on a lot of different things, trying to get all the different bills that our leaders are presenting. And then the upcoming ballot measures. There are potentially 30 ballot measures coming up that, from what I could see, a lot of them would have a negative effect on business. So we're trying to get as much information out in front of you so you know, so you can be ready to voice your opinions and see if we can stop some of this stuff. So with that, unless anybody has any questions, Chamber's here to support our Glendora businesses. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions?
Joe, what was the date of the cuisines?
Well, the week, it's going to be May 16th through the 22nd.
Oh, the week. Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
it's a restaurant week. We're probably going to have some specific tastings a couple of days too, but
Okay.
it's going to be kind of a full restaurant week.
Got it. Then this takes the place of the one that you used to do at GCC, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of, we may go back to that later on.
Uh-huh.
It's just it's cost prohibitive with health department changes.
Yeah, sure. Got it.
Thank you, Jana. Thank you, Joe. And then at this moment, I request a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I make a motion to approve this calendar as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion made by Vice Chair Hurth, seconded by Board Member Jarvis to approve consent calendar item number 3 as presented. I will now call for an oral roll call vote. Board Member Jarvis?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were doing the minutes.
Yeah.
There was a correction that needs to be made to the minutes.
Okay.
The vote for increasing the budget, I was a nay vote.
I'll make a note of, make those corrections. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Klinger?
Yes.
Board Member Nolan?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hurth?
Yes.
Chair Snyder?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. With the correction that Board Member Jarvis has stated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, at this moment, I would like to invite Housing and Economic Development Manager Valerie Velasquez to report.
Hi, good morning. So we are going to go ahead and take a look at the possibility of an event coordinator. Next slide, please. So at the last meeting, we kind of talked about the events that are held annually and the need to have additional people help provide the organization and planning that these events require. And so the board did go ahead and direct that we reach out to get a couple proposals from event coordinators that can help run the Wine Walk, Chalk Festival, and Friday Night Twilight series. So went ahead, we had a really short time to get this to you this month, but we went ahead and put a proposal together on the scope. The scope just kind of provided background on how the events had been planned out in prior years, gave some examples of the forms that we use for each of the events, as well as how we spend the budget and what that budget is. And then we instructed that these events should be done before the end of this fiscal year, which is June 30th of 2022. So we sent these out to 4 event coordinators and we received 3 back. So we'll review those. Next slide, please. So these are the 3 that we heard back from. Melody Ponce is also, her company is Winter Circle Events, Catherine Dunn and Lost City Events. On the first column, you'll see the events, the Wine Walk, Chalk Festival, and Friday nights. And if you recall, there was some discussion at the last meeting about how much the budget the board thought that they should allocate for each of these events. And it was decided that maybe 20% was a good number to consider, at least a starting point. So with Wine Walk budget at $20,000, that was a 4,000 estimate for the planning, Chalk Festival 1,600. Their budget is 8,000, and then Friday nights has a very small budget, so the estimated coordinator cost for that would be 800. So that's kind of just the ballpark at where you guys started with. So you'll take a look at each of the three proposals that we received, and we went ahead and itemized each of the costs that they each provided for each of the events. Catherine Dunn's was a little bit different for the wine walk in that she gave a fee, but then also stated that there would be a 5% on top of 5% of the ticket sales on top of her set fee. So just kind of estimating if we max out at our 1,200 ticket sales at the cost of what that ticket was for last year, that would total 5,400. So not plus, but 3,000 plus 2,400, which is 5% of ticket sales, would be 5,400. So at the bottom, you'll see the total for each of the three. The Winter Circle or Malady Ponce, her estimate for all three events was 50,375. Catherine Dunn's was 9,600, and Lost City Events was 16,000, but they further would discount it for 12,000 for conducting all three. And I think that's the direction we're heading, is to work with one event coordinator so they can become familiar with the village events and the village merchants. So one for all three. So that would be a 12,000 cost for Lost City. Again, as we look at the proposal or the number that the bid board had thought, the total was 6,400. So you'll see all three of these are over. Not too much with Catherine Dunn and Lost City. So something that the board can consider. I think the first one is just out of the bid's budget. And then if you took a look at their proposals, they were included in your packets. Malady Ponce has a lot of experience with weddings as well as corporate events. Catherine Dunn's is a little different. Her background is in journalism, graphic design, but where she stands out is that she is familiar with helping out with downtown districts. She has worked on the Claremont's wine walk last year, and they're already planning for this year for their wine walk as well. And then Lost City Events has a lot of experience with different kinds of events. They do trade shows, they work with conference centers, they've done wine festivals as well as weddings and event planners. So if you've had a chance, hopefully, to go ahead and look at the three proposals, the board can discuss the options. Again, all three of these are over what you had kind of figured the cost would be. But if you do want to have events this year, seeing that we are short on volunteers, I would recommend that you do discuss either Catherine Dunn or Lost City Events. As I had mentioned before, and I'll remind you, is that the bid did put $15,000 aside this year for an additional event. We're not going to do an additional event, so we can always reallocate that money towards event coordinator costs. Next slide, please. So that's where we are. I'm going to turn it back to the board. I can help you answer any questions, but this is for your discussion and for you to decide on if you want to go ahead and select one of these three proposals and move forward. So I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Valerie. Any questions and discussions from the board?
Yeah, one of these. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kathy.
It's okay. I was just going to ask, do we have a date set for the wine walk yet? Or is that going to be once we get somebody in position, set a date after that?
Correct. There's no date set other than it's got to be before the end of this fiscal year, which is June 30th.
Okay. Thank you.
One of these event coordinators stopped by my business and said they were going around to all the businesses. I know it wasn't Melody because I know her. Was it Lost City or Catherine stopped by? I don't know if you guys know.
I don't know. I can tell you Lost City's names are and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, Haslin, and the other one from Lost City is Christina Bogino. And then Catherine Dunn, well, that's Catherine Dunn. So I don't know if you caught the name of who stopped by.
I'm not remembering.
It was the one from Lost City.
It was Lost
They were
City.
friends of Delil's, I think, right, Delil?
Yeah, I know all three of them.
Yeah, okay.
And what was the crux of the meeting or the visit?
Oh, she's
They just wanted to introduce themselves.
Yeah, just an
They
introduction.
were gonna put
say-
it in, yeah.
Same thing.
Got it.
Okay, is there any questions or should we just move forward and follow Valerie's recommendation to decide what planner would be the best fit for our needs?
So it seems like the difference between Catherine Dunn and Lost City is their experience. I don't know too much other than I'm just looking at the numbers, and it meant a lot to me that the Lost City people came and introduced themselves to, it sounds like multiple people on the board. Although that's not a huge factor. But I guess we would be getting maybe a team of people as opposed to just one person with the Lost City. Is that true, Valerie?
It is two companies, I believe, that would be a joint effort on this. I don't know how many people are on their staff per se, but it is a team of two different, I believe, individuals or groups.
I think there's something to be said for the Catherine Dunn one that she's, that company's already planned the Claremont Wine Walk, so they have some experience doing that, which is probably a big plus, especially with getting into the wine walk, which is the biggest event and the biggest moneymaker.
Yeah, I also like that she wants a percentage of ticket sales. I think she'll be really motivated to
Absolutely.
sell more tickets and pay for herself.
Yeah.
Jana?
Yeah, I can tell you, am I muted? Hold on. Am I
You're
unmuted? Okay. Just the fact that she's a graphic designer is big, just because there's a lot of work that goes into that on the front end by me usually. So the fact that she could probably take a lot of that responsibility and know what she's doing and have that knowledge behind her would be a big plus. Plus the fact that Claremont Wine Walk is driven by the merchants out there as well as how we do it here. It's a merchant event. So she's already got her feet wet in that. So that's a big plus.
Okay. Valerie, I see here that for Lost City events, they do have also under the wing like trade shows, wine festivals, and do you have any specific wine festivals that they have done or trade shows?
Just what was in their packet. I think on their first page, they, I guess they did a wine festival at Cal Poly Pomona. For trade shows, they did something, I'm gonna try to pronounce this, anthropomorphic arts education. They worked with the Placer County Fair. So they have a variety of different events on their proposal, which is in your packet.
Okay. And is it your recommendation to vote now, or are we going to invite them to make a presentation themselves, or how we move forward?
We had really limited time to get this all together, so it really is just a discussion. If you guys want them to present a proposal, we can arrange that for next month. Just keep in mind that your meetings are monthly, so it would be a month lost in the planning period.
If we want to get a wine walk in before the end of June, we got to get moving on this, I would say.
And can you clarify that all of these events would have to happen, or will not have to happen, but at least be committed to before the end of June, right? Is that what you're for this year's budget?
What the scope that we requested was that for all of these to occur before the end of the fiscal year. And I think moving forward, if you were satisfied with the job that they did, we would go ahead and kind of budget for this to occur next year as well, as we talk about the annual plan in the next item.
Well, obviously, like Friday nights. That's
Friday
all
nights
for the
will be
summer.
half, right. So Friday nights will start in this fiscal year, but they continue into the next, correct. And that was written into the proposal that the Friday night actually begins with the last week in May, and then it continues on June, July, August, I believe.
Right. Yeah, it goes all the way through the end of August.
Right, but yes, you are correct.
Labor Day.
So that one carries over across 2 fiscal years.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily go that way, but that's just how it's been in the past, Memorial to Labor.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, well, it probably is, it doesn't matter, but Melody Ponce was busy in June, so hers would be July through September. You'll see that note there.
Oh, I see.
And then
Okay,
if it matters at all, because the scope, again, we had limited time to get this out. And so the scope, I tried to incorporate all the different steps that were required to put on these events. If anything was missed or if anything additional comes up, that might be an additional cost. So I did also reference the hourly rates for each. So you'll see those down there as well, just in case something's missed and there's additional work needed. Those hourly rates may also come into factor.
Can we call like a special meeting since you mentioned that, you know, we're meeting monthly and everything? Would it be possible to call a special meeting maybe next week to see if we can have a presentation with them? So at least, you know, we have more information in regards of what's like their experience and like what their teams look like and how they have done, you know, their events in the past.
So I'm going to ask Lorena to help me. I think the answer is yes, but I would need to reach out to all three and find a time that would work for them and for you. So how do we do that, Lorena?
You can request to agendize it, to call for a special meeting to have a presentation on these 3 vendors, but we'd have to have a second to have in order to do it.
Okay.
Okay, so do I request at this moment a motion to request a special meeting? And then do I have a motion to, do I have a first?
So you're motioning to agendize to have a special meeting to host, to have a presentation by all 3 members. I just need a second from one of the board members in order to do so. Do we have a second from any of the other members?
I'll second.
Okay, all right. So now I'll make a note that we are agendizing to have a special meeting next week. I'm not sure what day did you want to do that, Valerie?
That's what I was asking you. I mean, I would hope that all 3 would be available on a certain date. Do we have flexibility or we have to call out the date today?
No, I don't believe so. We just, well, at least we have a motion and a second that we can have a special meeting.
Okay, that's fine. If I can ask the board members so I don't have to reach out to you again. If we do it sometime in the morning, like 8:30, is everybody available all day next week except Friday? I'm off Friday.
Yes.
No,
No,
And I'm not on Thursday. I'm off on Thursday. I mean, I'm not off. I'm just not in the morning. I've got a doctor's appointment on the morning.
did we decide we didn't want to make a decision now and just pick Catherine Dunn?
yeah, why not?
I mean, so Lorena, they've already made a motion that was accepted. So can they go back?
You can technically one of the board members could motion to select one of the winners or one of the vendors, excuse me, and then they can vote on it. And if it passes, great. If not, then they can go on the second to host a special meeting.
So Don, you can make a motion if you want.
All right, I make a motion to take the vote today. Move forward.
Second that motion.
Okay, so then we need to have a vendor selected in order to go on with this motion. Who would you like to select? Don, did you?
I would select Catherine Dunn.
Okay.
I second that if that's okay.
Okay, so a motion was made by board member Nolan, seconded by board member Klingler to select vendor Catherine Dunn to be the chair, the event
coordinator.
Okay, so now I'm going to call for a vote. Board member Jarvis,
Aye.
board member Klingler,
Aye.
board member Nolan,
Aye.
vice chair Hurd,
Aye.
and chair Snyder.
No.
The motion carries 4-1, excuse me, with a no. So technically you have selected a vendor.
Okay, then we move forward to unfinished business items, and I don't see any at this time. And then new business, I invite the Housing and Economic Development Manager, Valerie Velasquez, to report.
Okay, thank you. So next slide, please. We'll go over the annual report for next year. Next slide. So just as a reminder, this is something required every year in order to renew the assessments by state law as well as the Glendora Municipal Code. The multiple steps for renewing the assessments include a review of the budget, which we did at the last meeting last month. Recommend approval of this annual report. So after today, with approval, it will go to City Council. City Council then reviews the annual report and adopts a resolution of intent to levy and collect assessments for next year. We do some noticing via mailing through the United States Postal Service, as well as publishing in the Examiner. And then there are 2 hearings before the assessments would go into effect. Next slide, please. So the annual report, which was included in your packet, includes bid boundaries. There are no changes. We'll take a look at those in the next slide. Just for your knowledge, we always kind of do this the same as we did last year, but if anyone ever thought they wanted to expand or do something more with I don't think you'd want to shrink it, you're pretty small, but if ever you wanted to consider expanding, that's a possibility. But as of right now, there are no changes to the boundaries. The activity is basically the budget, which details the different activities and the costs associated with each. The assessment methodology, that is how your assessments are calculated for the different businesses based on boundaries, location, type of business, primary or secondary. No changes. So whatever you paid this year, you'll pay next year. And then the surplus revenue, basically that is your savings account, your reserves that you have, and then the funding sources. So in addition to assessments, you have revenues generated through the events and interest and sometimes some miscellaneous income. Next slide, please. So again, these are the boundaries. This is how the bid was established and how it continues, no changes. Next slide. Again, just taking a look at the assessments and how they run. So you do have a few that are 0 on Vista Bonita, Vermont. The center that is south of Glendora, where the 99 cents and Domino's are. And then you've got secondary businesses are $100. And then primary ranges between 200 and 600, with 600 being the max. Next slide. And then here is a look at the budget. Again, we looked at this last month and we went ahead and took a look at the revenues, saw that those were going to be 99,600. The expenditures, we will need to adjust them. So I couldn't do that before hearing what your decision was on the last item for the event coordinator. I pulled it out so it could be an easy adjustment. You'll see event coordinator at the near the bottom of the expenditure side at 6,400. So I will go ahead and adjust that. And I'll have you guys answer this question at the end, but I don't recall. So her cost for where is that slide? Does anyone remember what the cost of Catherine Dunn's was? Okay, here it is. Her cost was
96, I think.
Right. Okay, so I will go ahead and adjust that, but also just wanted to know if there's anything extra you might want to give a little cushion, you can do that. So I'll need to go ahead and make that adjustment for the event coordinator. And we will be a little bit over this year, but it's not going to be too much more than what we are now. So next slide, please. And then again, we're over. Your expenditures are greater than your revenues, but you'll see that this is what you have in your fund balance. So at the end of this year, an estimate, June 30th, 2022, you will have approximately 106,000. That takes into effect, though, that we do have the wine walk and that revenue is generated. So next slide, please. So these are just the dates to be aware of. We've already had our February 3rd meeting. The March 3rd is today, you taking a look at the annual report and approving it to move forward to council, and then first city council's approval, and then city council will adopt the resolution on March 22nd. Those mailings and notice will be issued March 28th, and then the first public hearings for council to hear any testimony on the activity plan or the budget is May 10th. And then May 24th will be the second and final public hearing, where any protests, votes received will be tabulated to see if council can go ahead and adopt the levy, adopt the ability to collect assessments in the next fiscal year. So with that, and I will just say, so Catherine's Guns was 9,600, and let me just give you that number. So that number, as far as your expenditures, will be 108,000. So you'll be over about 8,400, just to give you that number. Next slide. So that's it. I'm going to turn it back to the board for any questions or any discussion you might have.
We had the 15,000 allocated.
Correct.
Extra for the extra event. So is that in this figure, or is that still need to be accounted for?
That is not in this, because this is looking forward at next year. So we are not planning a new event. So what we're doing is putting in that line item for an event coordinator. And instead of that 6,400, her proposal was for 9,600. Again, I don't know if you want to give it some cushion just in case some extras pop up, maybe 10 or 12 or even 15 is what we kind of did last year as extra. Or you can put that in miscellaneous, but that's for you to decide. So that extra 15,000 from this year, that's because we were being ambitious and wanted to put a new event on this year, and we could not get to it.
Right. Okay. I would recommend a cushion on the event thing. I just see that could take on a life of its own here. So I'd recommend.
What would be the cushion that you would recommend?
We're at what, 96, you said, Valerie?
It's 96, right? And remember, so that's going to be for this year. So next year, you know, she may, or whoever, if she doesn't work out, we may need to go to the next one. So this number is actually for next year.
Right.
So yes. So right now, her quote was 96.
Right, hang on, I'll get back to this.
So again, looking ahead, if it didn't work out and you wanted to try Lost City, which was between 12 and 16, maybe 15 is a good cushion.
Right, right.
Is that okay with you, Jenna?
That works for me. 15 is fine.
Okay, Board Member Jarvis,
No.
what would be your suggestion?
Well, to keep it as it is.
Board Member Klinger?
Yeah, we're talking about adding. Can you just clarify for me how much we're talking about adding?
Yeah, so right now the quote is 9,600. So I guess the discussion is how much do you guys want to bump it? Do you want to bump it up? So Jana recommended 15. That's 5,400 more. Again, I think that's taking into consideration next year, you know, depending if you want to try someone else out. The others started at 12, between 12, I would say 12.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily have to spend that money if we decide we don't like the event coordinator.
Correct. You can stay with her, and you know, she would probably, I don't know, I can't speak with her, but they usually don't jump up too much.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should bump it up then. That'd be my.
Okay. Board Member Nolan?
Yeah, I agree.
Vice Chair Harris, can I hear you position again, please?
You're muted, Jenna.
Sorry, I just muted myself. Yes, I agree.
Okay, I agree. And then
Yes.
are there any other comments?
So if I could have, I guess, someone make a motion to approve the annual plan, but adjusting the event coordinator to 15,000 is what I believe I heard.
I make a motion to approve with an adjustment to the event coordinator, 15,000.
Second that motion.
I'm sorry, who was the second? Klinger? Okay, perfect, thank you. So we have a motion made by Vice Chair Hurd, seconded by Board Member Klinger. I will call an oral roll call vote. Board Member Jarvis?
Nay.
Board Member Klingler?
Yes.
Board Member Nolan?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hurd?
Yes.
Chair Snyder?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
At this point, I would like to invite the board members and staff to make any closing comments, please. Board Member Jarvis?
You forgot one item.
I'm sorry,
So,
what
Number 6.
item? Oh, I don't want to do that one. I invite Housing and Economic Development Manager Valerie Velasquez to report.
Next time you could say, don't leave, just stay. Okay,
I'm
so
good.
this is our annual or monthly update on the BIDS budget. So this is just for your notice. The 2 sheets are in your packet that give a summary of where we're at. You're now at the close of January. You're 58% complete with your fiscal year budget. To date, the revenue has come in at 27,162. Last year, you were at just about 25, so very similar, but better than last year. And the expenditures, you are now at 31,289, which is about 28% of the budget over last year. But last year we had no events, no holiday stroll, which took a lot. So everything looks pretty good. You're within your budget parameters of where you should be. And then there's also the itemized detail of where all the funds have been spent on one of the attachments as well. So if there's any questions, I can answer that. Otherwise, this is receive and file.
Okay, are there any questions from the board? Board Member Jarvis?
No questions.
Board Member Klingler?
No questions.
Board Member Nolan?
None.
Vice Chair Surth?
No questions.
I don't have any questions, so I make a motion to receive and file the report. Do I have first?
Second.
We have a motion made by Chair Snyder, seconded by Board Member Klinkler. I will call for an oral roll call vote. Board Member Jarvis?
Yes.
Board Member Klingler?
Yes.
Board Member Nolan?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hurth?
Yes.
Chair Snyder?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And then at this moment, I would like any board and staff closing comments. Board Member Jarvis?
I would just like to take this opportunity to pass on my condolences to the Andrews family and wish them all the best. That's all.
Board Member Klinger?
No closing comments. Yeah, I'm really gonna miss Gary. He was always really awesome to me. I remember when we opened our business, he invited me over. We sat in his little upstairs area and he just gave me some words of advice. And I feel like he's always been there. Always wanted me to come over and talk with him. And he was kind of like the figurehead of this board. So he made a lot of decisions and contributions that are going to set the trajectory for this going forward, which I think is pretty cool. A good legacy to leave.
Thank you, Matt. Board Member Nolan?
I have no closing comments.
Vice Chair Hurt?
I'm good. No closing comments. Thank you.
I want to read something just to keep Gary in our memories. It's like, cry, but don't cry too much. Turn your heartbreak into kindness. Search for healing words and plant them into your wounds. One day you will have a garden of love. And that's what Gary has done. He has left a garden of love here in the city of Glendora. In all of our hearts, he will always be remembered. And Connie and Jennifer, we love you and we are here for you. And I know all of us here at the city, board members, Valerie, my condolences to all of you as well. And if there are any other comments from the staff at this moment, I would like to adjourn this meeting.
Nothing to add now.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned.